All right, Matt Steinmetz, Darryl the Guru Johnson with you on 95.7 The Game. And we check in with Randy Bennett once or so a year. He's the head coach of the St. Mary's men's basketball squad. It's his 23rd season. St. Mary's right now with the longest winning streak in the country at 14 games. They're 20-6. Randy, thank you so much for joining us. As always, appreciate it.
It's great to be on. Thanks for having me.
All right, here's how we started the show. So I'll usher you in this way. 44 years ago, you know probably, I don't want to date you, the U.S. men's Olympic hockey team beat the Soviet Union. Miracle on ice, maybe the greatest sporting event of all time. Do you have a memory, maybe growing up as a kid or even as a young adult or even as an adult, just a game you remember where you were, not necessarily one you coached, but just a game that impacted you?
I remember some games like that. Some of them I was too young on. I remember the big ice bowl between the Colts and the Cowboys when I was like 8, something like that. And I remember all those Lakers-Celtics
in the 80s
games. Like, yeah, those were incredible. And then Jordan when he did his thing. I remember where I was watching the games at. I remember those series each year. They were just, no matter what you were doing, back then they didn't have as much as easy access to stuff. So
right,
whatever you're doing, you were going to find a way to get in front of that TV to watch that game. For Jordan down the stretch when he got his 4, 5, and 6 championships, it didn't matter. You were going to get in front of that TV to see him play because you knew you weren't going to see one quite like this for a long time. Yeah,
appointment TV. Hey, let me ask you this, and we're joined by Randy Bennett, head coach of St. Mary's men's basketball. What's been the difference between you guys at 6-6 and you guys now at 20-6?
Just guys getting older and better and more experienced at their positions, and it sounds like, well, how can you do that 1 year? You can. To get good, you have to get steady reps. Like, you got to get minutes every night. And we didn't have that with a couple of our starters. And so I would say Augustus Marcelonis wasn't there yet. Joshua Jefferson wasn't there yet. And honestly, Alex Dukas, our captain, was still coming back from his back deal from last year in the tournament. So as those guys improved, our team improved, and probably the most important thing besides that was we didn't splinter. Our guys had good leadership, and they stuck together, and they kind of believed what we were telling them. Like, we're gonna be all right. You just got to keep getting better and weather the storm. And you say that like that's easy to do. That's not easy to do when you're 3-5. So
right.
Anyhow, they've been great there.
Hey, Randy, the other day we were talking about Warriors head coach Steve Kerr and his future, and obviously, fans want him back. And I'm watching you on the TV the other night, and I said he's got to be a pretty damn good dude. And let me tell you why. How does one guy coach for a quarter century and stay at the same location? I thought to myself, doing the math and all the relationships and all the stuff that go with it, different personalities, what's your secret, man?
Get good players. Don't ever get confused. You better have good players, good staff. But I think we're pretty good at keeping the selfishness out of it, which, everybody thinks it's a bad word, but it's not a bad word. It's just reality. That's what happens. And I think over the years we've had the right guys, good talent, but the right guys as far as these guys wanting to be part of a bigger thing than themselves, and I think that's the trick right there. You get guys who want to be part of something bigger than themselves, and so we work at it, we recruit them, and then I would say once they're here, we're pretty good at getting them right between the years as far as that, and I think that's how you win. And you may not get the most points, or you may not get the this or that. Now it could be NIL. I don't know, but your team's the best it can be if that's how you approach it.
Randy Bennett joining us on 95.7 The Game. Head coach, St. Mary's men's basketball, 23rd season, another 20-win season under his belt, 20-6. Let me ask you about a kid out of Santa Clara, Brandin Podziemski, who you've seen. You saw him play last year. I'm curious, when you see a lot of guys in your conference who can play at the next level. When you saw Podziemski, did you say, that kid can play at the next level? Or do you just say, that's a pretty good kid who, if he keeps working at it, you never know?
He was, so I didn't really pay attention to him until we played him in league. So then you're going to watch him 6 or 7 different games. And by the time we played him, I was like, this guy's good enough to be in the NBA. In time. I didn't know it'd be that quick, but
right.
He was, and then when I saw him in person, we did a good job on him, but he was big enough, he was quick enough, he could really rebound for his position, and I thought he could play the point. So I've seen enough of him, you just start checking the boxes, and he's too small, you say, nah, they won't give him a shot. Can't guard, but he could do all those things. So I thought he was a pro before we played him, and I knew nothing about him until I started watching those games. And then after we played him twice, I was like, this guy. We had just seen Jalen Williams from there, and I said the same thing about him his third year. So anyhow, he stuck out to me. He's pretty obvious. He was up for Player of the Year, and then they didn't win the league, but he was good.
Randy,
he is good.
Randy, I don't want to sound like an old fogey here, but hopefully you didn't watch too much of the NBA All-Star Game. And I told my partner and anybody that'll listen, I think the 3-ball and its impact has been bad for the game. I kind of missed the low post stuff, just, a variety. When you watch college basketball now, and I ask you about the 3-point ball, how's its impact been on your game?
Yeah, in college, I think the low post games still very, very effective, and you just have to get guys that are good enough. But I think, some of the teams out west we're pretty heavy on it, but Gonzaga has been heavy on it. They put so many pros in the NBA because they've had really good posts, but they become really good posts. Which came first, the chicken or the egg? But they give the guy the ball in the post so they get good, and then that translates. But obviously they're pretty good when they got them. But sometimes you'll see programs that if they don't use them, I can almost tell you if they're not a program that puts the ball in post and plays off their post man, he's not gonna number, and then thus you're not gonna get good over year after year after year. You just stay the same. So I think it's key in college. I think it's hard to win without it. People try, but I think winning at the top, like UConn last year, they were really good in the post, and they played through the post. So, having said that, you better have some good shooting around them,
right?
Otherwise, it's a lot easier to guard them.
Randy Bennett joining us on 95.7 The Game, head coach, St. Mary's men's basketball. I'm interested in this. You've sent some guys to the pros. Obviously, Patty Mills, Matthew Dellavedova, Londale. You got. If I ask you, you got 2 guys on your team I've heard of, Mahaney and Marshallonis. Like if I said, hey, Randy, can they play at the next level? Like how careful are you going to be with the answer? And just how do you talk to them about the next level if it's possible? Or are you listening to me right now and saying, they're a long way from their next? Like, how do you know? And then what do you do with that information once you have it?
It's a phenomenal question because that's where you don't want to ruin the kid. Like if the people who tell me, hey, you're a pro, like it's not healthy to say it that way. Like you better say it like, if you improve in these things, you could possibly be a pro, because it is so hard to make it. Even our guys who made it, I mean, Patty barely made it, and then he turned it into a great career. Dellavedova didn't get drafted, and he turned it into a great career. But, I mean, those guys could have easily not made it.
Right.
And we would have never – Lawndale, too. We would have never been talking about this. But so I think it's – yes, both, like, those are two examples. I have no problem talking about those two. They have a chance because they're big enough for their position, and you're going to have to be able to guard it, defend your position. But if you can do that, and then if you're big enough, you can guard it, and then you have to get your offensive package where it's elite. And but we've had a lot of success with point guards. They're both point guards. I think I have some good comparisons for them. So we talked to him about that. Like, we talked to Aiden before he came here about that. We talked to Augustus, and that's probably one of the reasons they both came here is we thought they were like some of the guys we've had and could become that. And I still think that for both of them. But they're not there yet. They have work to do. Like Podziemski, I thought he was there. I didn't know if he'd come out that first year or the second year, but there was no he would have benefited from staying at college, getting better and better, but he could, if somebody believed in him and could go with him then, it's probably what he needed. He needed to go get those reps and play against the top level, and hopefully that's Aiden and Augustus in a year or so.
Wow. Hey, Randy, you brought up Lakers Celtics. I had a question for you about getting ready for the tournament because I know you're focused on your program, but that got me to thinking, what are your thoughts on this explosion in regard to offense in the NBA?
You mean no defense?
Right, there you go.
You can say you hate
can
it.
say it, yeah. My partner's, he's upset, and so am I to a degree.
I don't know. It's kind of the Warriors kind of started some of it because they had elite shooters, elite players, but they guarded.
Yeah.
Golden State guarded, and they were one of the top teams every year defensively. So, but then I think people just kind of took that, hey, get more shooters, don't even worry about any inside game, and we'll just outscore you. But at the end of the day, I don't think you're going to win it doing that. But I'm old school. I like to.
So am I.
Fighting it out of both ends.
Yeah. Hey, Randy, thank you so much for giving us.
Give me those Celtics and Lakers from the 80s.
There you go.
I'm with you. I'm with you there. Although now we're getting talked down to for being old heads. But hey, Randy, thank you so much for joining us. Really appreciate it. Good luck in the rest of the season. And
take it easy.
Thanks again, man.
Hey, anytime you want to talk to an old head, just give me a call.
All right, Randy. Take care, buddy.